everybody, my name is Mr. Francy and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. Okay, so today I am doing my reading vlog, talking all the books that I've read between the 18th and the 24th of June 2023. Okay, before I get into it, just want to explain what's going to happen for the rest of the week. This week I am doing videos for every Australian weekday, or if you're on the American time zone, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But if you're in the Australian time zone, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yesterday I did my mid-year freakout tag. Today my reading vlog. Tomorrow I'm doing my July TBR. Then on the next two videos will be my monthly wrap. So my monthly wrap part 1 will come up first, where I talk about the books that are in the first half of June. And then I will do part 2 where I talk about the second half of those books. And that will get us directly to the end of June and into July, when I will be starting my favorites and non-favorites for the first half of the year. And let me tell you, I am very excited for both of those aspects. I have read some amazing books in the first half of 2023 and I can't wait to discuss them with you. But on the opposite side, I have read some books that were just books I did not like. So whether you prefer the positive side of my favorites and non-favorites or the negative ranty side of my favorites and non-favorites, there will be something for you coming up next month, but many videos between now and then because I have so much to cover this week. All right, let's jump into the reading vlog. So last time when we spoke, I was reading this book, Matched by Ali Condi. This is a YA dystopian. I finished this book and gave it 4.5 stars. So this is book 1 in the, I believe it's called the Matched series. Yes, it is. So this is book 1 in the Matched trilogy, I believe. Yes. So I only have 2 more books to go. I'm reading book 2 next month in July. So the premise of this book is that, in the society, officials decide who you love, where you work, where you die. Kesha has always trusted their choices. It's hardly any price to pay for a long life, the perfect job, the ideal mate. So when her best friend appears on the matching screen, Kesha knows with complete certainty that he is the one, until she sees another face flash for an instant before the screen fades to black. Now Kesha is faced with impossible choices between Xander and Kai, between the only life she's known and a path no one else has ever dared to follow, between perfection and passion. So to my thoughts. So after DNFing another dystopian, I needed to replace it and came across this one. I was surprised at how quickly I gravitated towards this book. The world building is fantastic. Literally everything you do is decided by the society, from your match to what you eat, the portion size of your food, when you can eat, and so much more. The writing style is easy to read and the characters easy to fall in love with. I look forward to reading book number 2. Now I docked 0.5 stars as I felt the book could have gone a tad further with its world building than it did. But in saying that, what was revealed was amazing. So quickly, just to unpack that a little further, I love this world. It is very much a dystopian. I mean, this society being the tyrannical force, there's always a tyrannical force in every society that has this overbearing way that they have all these rules and restrictions that you have to follow in a dystopian world. And in this one, the society rules everyone else by literally dictating every single thing they do. The concept was very easy to understand and it had me wanting to read and learn more and more about it, unlike the dystopian series that I DNF'd before picking up this one. But in saying that, I wish Ali Condi had gone a bit further. It's a trilogy, so I felt that she could have afforded to have gone a little bit further in book 1. In saying that, it was only enough to dock 0.5 stars. It still gets 4.5 stars. I still very much enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading Crossed, which is book number 2 next month, and hoping that we will expand even more upon this universe. 4.5 stars from me. So the next book that I picked up was this book, Death by Bacon Heiress by Lee and Hollis. For those of you who don't know, Lee Hollis is a pen name for a brother-sister authoring duo. The brother takes the name Lee, the sister takes the name Hollis. This is book number 7 in the Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery Series. I'm doing a buddy read of this series at the moment over on my Discord. If you'd like to join us, link as always is in the description. So this is book 7, and we plan to read the first 13 books by the end of the year. It's been an up and down journey for me, this Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery Series, which, by the way, is an adult cozy mystery series. The first 3 books I gave 5 stars to, then book 3 I gave 3 stars, book 4 I think I gave like 4.5, and the first 3 I gave 5 stars, book 4 I gave 3, book 5 I gave 4.5, book 6 I gave 3, but this one, book 7, went back to being a 5-star read, and I'm hoping that I'll continue to go back to more 5-star reads in this series moving forward, because the beginning of my journey with this, the first 3 books of this series, I absolutely loved. And then there were some things in book number 3 that for me, the series took an absolute nosedive can't think right now. The series took an absolute nosedive in book 4 with something that I didn't like. And then in book 6, I just found everything to be rather meh, and I wasn't really fazed by the book in any way, shape or form. But this one, return to glory for Lee and Hollis. So the premise of this book is that, we continue to follow Hayley Powell, who ends up scoring a last-minute appearance on a talk show with Rhonda Franklin. Think Rosie O'Donnell. I did. While preparing for the show, Hayley meets with Rhonda, and not too much later, they're interrupted by Olivia Redman, an heiress to a bacon fortune, and her husband and pet pig, Porkchop. When Hayley gets home, Olivia asks her if she'd like some freelance work, writing additional columns for her website about bacon. Hayley agrees, but the following day Olivia winds up dead, and with Porkchop as the sole witness, Hayley sets about trying to determine who committed the murder. So to my thoughts on this book, one of Lee and Hollis's best in my opinion. I've always loved Hayley Powell's column and loved it this time too. For those of you who haven't read the series, this cozy mystery series, in each book, there are columns placed, pieced and parceled throughout each book. And so the column will be that Hayley will describe something that's happened in her past, and then she'll link that to 2 recipes, a cocktail recipe and a food recipe. And I've always loved the columns, but what I loved with the columns and recipes specifically in this one is they are all bacon themed. Not every single book in this series, in fact most of the books in this series have completely different recipes, but every single one of the recipes in this book were bacon themed, and I love my bacon, so it worked very well for me. Rhonda reminded me, as I said, heavily of Rosie O'Donnell, and boy did she make for a great addition to the story. I hope we get to see more of her in the future. There was a tough ending. I don't want to say why because of spoilers, but if you've read the book, you know for those of you who have read the book, I was surprised by that thing that I can't say. I was surprised and let down. It felt like it just came way out of left field. And it ultimately very much let me down, the choice that Lee and Hollis made for that thing that I can't say that's a spoiler. But anyway, it is what it is. The reveal itself was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. It was just okay. But all in all, it was a really good book. 5 stars from me, and I am very much looking forward to the next one, which I think is called Death of a Pumpkin Carver, and I'll be reading that in July. So after Death of a Bacon Heiress, I picked up this book, which is Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. I have had an up and down relationship with Miss Sophie Kinsella. So I read I've Got Your Number, a standalone romance book a couple of years ago, and I loved that book so much. I was laughing every page, if not every second page. Then last year, I decided to add Sophie Kinsella's series, the Shopaholic series, to my SAS list. I got through the first book and the protagonist annoyed me so much. And I was talking to you all over on the Discord about it, and some of you are coming back and saying to me, if you think that's bad, she's actually at her best in book 1, and that was enough for me to DNF the entire series. So I was hesitant going into this book, because of my experience with the Shopaholic series, but at the same time I was hopeful because this book, as with I've Got Your Number, is a standalone, and I loved her last standalone. It's very tough for me to say what I think about this, but let me quickly first of all give you the stats for this book. It's a YA contemporary, and it's a YA, I kind of want to say hard-hitting contemporary, although it didn't feel that hard-hitting. It's a YA contemporary that deals with the topic of mental health, but not in the most hard-hitting of ways. So, yeah, YA contemporary. I don't know, I'm overthinking this. Let's keep going. Okay, so this book is very hard to explain the premise of, and I will tell you why. This is a character-driven book. I am not a character-driven reader. I am absolutely 100% a plot-driven reader. For those of you who don't know the difference, totally fine. A plot-driven book is a book that is driven, as the words may suggest, by the plot itself. So the plot moves the story forward. In character-driven books, the character moves the story forwards, and the plot is either very minor or non-existent. In this case, I felt like you could have anything, almost anything else happen in this book, and it still would have been the same book, because the purpose of this book is Audrey herself. So Audrey went through something about 2 months before the book picks up at her high school, which caused her to realize that she suffers from social anxiety. She ended up being homeschooled, or she's going to be homeschooled for the rest of the year, and then next year she's going to go to an academy, but in that meantime she's trying to deal with the fact that she is very socially anxious and very socially awkward. So I can appreciate that. Whilst I don't have agoraphobia, and Audrey even herself says it's not to be confused with agoraphobia. I have social anxiety. One of her biggest concerns is big crowds, and I have the same thing. I don't like being around big crowds myself either. I can get very anxious around big crowds. So in a way, I related to her, but her mental illness is certainly much bigger than mine. She goes throughout every single day of her life not being able to leave her home. Again, not that she's agoraphobic, but because she doesn't want to run into anyone. She doesn't want to see people outside of her house. So it's not the fear of going outside, but the fear of seeing people outside. To the point that she actually wears dark glasses. You'll see on the cover that she's wearing sunglasses. The reason for that is because she wears sunglasses all the time, no matter what she's doing. And I can understand that. I remember when I was a child watching a movie, and I'm trying to remember what the heck the movie was called. Okay, it was called Big Daddy. And in that film, Adam Sandler's taking care of this kid, and the kid is nervous because I think they're going to Adam Sandler's girlfriend's house or something, and he doesn't want to go there because she's a stranger. And Adam Sandler does something really beautiful, which touched me as a kid, which was he gave the kid his sunglasses and said, "These sunglasses have magical powers. If you put these sunglasses on, you'll be invisible and no one will be able to see you." And I always took that to heart. So seeing Audrey adopt the same thing by always wearing sunglasses, I totally got it. I 100% got it. But yeah, the whole purpose of this book is that it revolves around Audrey trying to deal with her social anxiety. I do need to give you a heads up. Okay, so yeah, Audrey's, the issue, the trauma in her past that caused this social anxiety never comes to light. We never find out what it is. Audrey breaks the fourth wall a couple of times in the book. It didn't annoy me because I've read books that break the fourth wall multiple times. I think the fourth wall's maybe broken once or twice, and I didn't mind that. That was fine with me. But she was making this point, I'm sure you want to know what happened and what got me to this point, but I'm just not ready to talk about it yet, so I'm not going to. And I know that makes you want me to discuss it even more, but I'm just not ready to do that. So you're going to have to live with the fact that you're not going to know. And now we're going to progress forward. And yeah, we don't know. Even by the end of the book, we still don't know. I thought by the end of the book we would find out, but we don't. So we just have to accept that this is what it is and follow her throughout her day-to-day life. her brother ends up having a friend come over because her brother's entered into a online gaming competition thing where apparently the winner can get $6 million. I mean, the money you can make with gaming. I certainly went about life the wrong way reading books when I could have been playing games all this time and making money that way. But anyway, I just think it's funny. But anyway, so her brother's friend, to cut a long story short, ends up coming over to play the game with the brother because they're on a team together, and he wants to get to know Audrey. He accepts that Audrey has this social anxiety and is willing to do anything he can to help her within the parameters that she has. And I really appreciated that. So the majority of the book is spent with Audrey and this guy, trying to find ways to work through her social anxiety. So to my thoughts, I honestly don't really know what to make of the book. One thing's for sure, that it's a character-driven book. And as I say, I'm not a character-driven reader. Audrey is an interesting character to follow. All we know is that she has social anxiety because of the incident, and as I said, we don't know what happens by the end, even by the end of the book. But in saying that, the relationship between Audrey and the guy's name is Linus. Linus is adorable, and the ways Linus manages to help Audrey when no one else seems to be able to is so adorable. It was, to put it simply, the book that was, and I ended up giving it 4 stars because I always rate my books. But coming out of this one, I struggled thinking I have no clue what to rate this because I'm not a character-driven reader. But I think coming out of it, I thought there were things that I didn't appreciate or wanted to be added or to be taken out to the point that I deducted a star. But everything else I liked. So 4 stars just seemed right for me. But, you know, take that with a grain of salt. As I say, I'm not a character-driven reader. But yeah, I thought it was a solid book, and I look forward to my next Sophie Kinsella standalone. Maybe that's what I was missing. Maybe I just need more Sophie Kinsella standalones as opposed to reading her series. 4.5 stars for this YA contemporary from me. And if social anxiety is something you'd like to see be dealt with in a character-driven way, then I highly recommend the book. There you go. Okay, so I have the next book that I picked up is the next book I started. I'm not that far into it at all. It is this book, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader by C.S. Lewis. This is book number 5 in the Chronicles of Narnia series. We are reading all 7 books in the Chronicles of Narnia series over on the Discord. Once again, link is in the description. I am about 2 chapters into this one. All I can tell you is that the premise of this one is that we are following the 2 younger children that we've gotten to know in this series, and I'm trying to remember their names, Edmund, and I don't remember the girl's name, I'm so sorry. But the 2 eldest kids aren't in this one. There's reasons that we find out at the beginning of the book, but honestly, they're insignificant. All you need to know is that we're just following the 2 younger ones in this one, and they're staying with their cousin who really is a snotty brat. I have to be honest, very much a snotty brat. And while they're at his house, they see this painting of a ship and it reminds them of Narnia. So they spend a lot of time looking at this painting, and then they eventually tell their cousin about Narnia, and he just thinks that they're delusional, which, I mean, he's never seen Narnia, so, you know, makes sense. And then what ends up happening is the 3 of them end up getting sucked into the painting, and when they, end up inside the painting, they end up on the ship, and on the ship is Prince Caspian, who was in the last book. So I really haven't gotten too far in at all. Prince Caspian was just taking them around the ship and showing them around, and that's all I've gotten so far out of the book. So let's look ahead to the plan that I have for the rest of June. The rest of this last week in June. So obviously I plan to finish off The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And then I'm going to pick up my last book of June, which is Helping Hand by Jay Northcott. I picked this book up on a whim. I was trying to find something about a book that I'd read already called The Housemates by Ian Rob Wright. I've spoken about that book many times. And Goodreads, instead of finding The Housemates by Ian Rob Wright, ended up searching The Housemates, the series, and Helping Hand is book one in that series. It's an adult LGBTIQ plus book, and so I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. And it is shorter than The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader is a short book in and of itself. So I thought, hey, it's a really, really tiny novella, so why not give it a go and see what we think. So once I've finished that book, I will then be done with my June TBR, and then I can focus on my July TBR. Want to know what I'll be reading in July? Well, stick around for the next video, because tomorrow I am going to be doing my July TBR, talking all the books that I plan to read in the month of July. And I have some books that I'm excited to get to all of them, but I have some books in my July TBR that I'm incredibly eagerly anticipating. So can't wait to do that video. Just a reminder, there are videos every single day this week. So as I say, tomorrow we have the July TBR. Then the next day, we have my June monthly wrap part 1, and the day after my June monthly wrap part 2. Then June comes to an end, July begins, and my favorites and non-favorites for the first half of the year season can begin. All of those seasonal videos coming out throughout the entire month of July. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it. I hope you've had an amazing reading week and you've enjoyed the first half of your year. Leave a comment for me in the space below, letting me know what your favorite book or non-favorite best or worst book of the first half of the year has been, or both, if you feel so inclined. And anything else you'd like to discuss down in the comments below is certainly the place to do it. If you're able, please give the video a thumbs up. It certainly does help with my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and that bell, ding, to ensure that you're notified each and every time I do upload a video. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it for today, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.